Well, welcome back. I've been replying to a few comments on my last videos, checking I'm okay, whether I'm actually still alive. One of the worst things you can do as somebody who is vlogging their terminal illness and their decline, which is going to an obvious stage, the worst thing you can do is stop posting and stop updating people. So if you are one of those people who probably thought, shit, I hope she's okay, always check my other social medias because I'll definitely be posting somewhere. Hi. Welcome back to my channel. Now, I don't know what to say or do at the moment because my life has become very quiet, very linear, doing the same thing over and over. Rinse and repeat of medical life, tiredness. A lot of mental health comes into why I don't do a great deal at the moment, and I'm trying to work on that. Maybe vlogging it will be a good way to help me get out of this spiral that I'm in. So this little guy is still here, sleepy as ever. He kind of got into my way of life. I also find it a lot harder to talk for longer periods of time, but I also don't like just putting my oxygen on for the sake of talking. But there will be times when I just do because it's easier than sitting here puffing and panting and having to take breaks. But as you can probably hear on my breath, talking quite freely and with expression tires my lungs out a lot more than it used to. I can have standard conversations and I do a lot of breath work to work on how I navigate conversations, but one of my anxieties is when I'm out and about, if somebody stops me to chat, I get quite anxious about how much of that I can do until I start to have an epic coughing fit, which I can put my camera down and pause for them to happen with YouTube. In real life, I can't. So I do take my oxygen out with me everywhere now. And that's definitely a change since last time we spoke. And I'm just going to update you on the things that have changed around my life and my house. One thing you are going to notice is my bed is now in my living room. So let's talk about how that happened. So it's been a while and I can't find my tripod. I'm going to try and find it at some point. One thing you might notice is my hair is now pink. It was lilac up until a few days ago when I decided to go back to one of my favourite colours, which is bright pink. And it's a mess today. It's washed, it's fluffy and it's nice, but I didn't know how to style it, so I just whacked it in some plaits and then it's been a mess from lying down. So I've always said I'm going to do this real and raw. This is what I look like today. I'm not going to do my makeup. I'm not going to get all fancy just to get a camera out. What you see is what you get with me, and I've said that from the beginning, and I have to stick to my word. And I also have to stick to my integrity of myself, is that no filter. YouTube is about no filters, no fuss. Get your camera out and film what's going on in the moment. So I'm sticking to that. That's why you have to deal with the fact that I look so dishevelled. But yes, anyway, on to living in my living room. He had a box room and it wasn't great. There wasn't a lot of space. And he had to play in like a very small part of that bedroom. And he is obsessed with Lego. So there wasn't a great deal of room for him to play. So I had discussed moving my bed downstairs anyway, and it's something a lot of people do who live in council houses or houses where they've got more room downstairs for the adults to sleep and it's easier for the children to have the bigger room. So I gave up my room and I have a day bed from IKEA downstairs. Now, people might think, oh my gosh, sleeping on a day bed. I've done it a different way. So although it's a day bed that usually you would buy with thin day bed mattresses, I've actually brought big, like a proper mattress. So it's thick, it's heavy duty, it's like memory foam and sprung and all of those fancy things. So it's a good mattress and the bed is very sturdy and comfortable. And now P has a double bed and a big room. He'd have even more room if he had a single bed, but I thought instead of actually getting rid of the double bed upstairs, to just give it to P, and that was a lot easier. So now there's a room with a single bed in it for anyone who's going to be here looking after me, caring for me, helping me out, siblings coming over to stay, etc. There's that room open for anyone. Moving on to the living room setup. So weirdly, it's actually more comfortable than the bed I had upstairs. So it's a day bed that folds back into a sofa. So you push this side in and you put the mattresses on top of each other and this becomes the back of a sofa kind of thing. But I just leave it out, and unless I had multiple people visiting me or guests or anything, I just leave it out. And what I do is the dog will stay on that side and sleep on a blanket so that he's not over it all day, or guests aren't sort of sitting on it all day. And then I just take there's two throws on it as well. Sometimes there's 3 throws, and I just chill on that in the day. Still have my sofa, still have a coffee table, and still can just chill out in here, and it's just a lot more comfortable. And I'm right next to my meds cupboard, and I'm right next to the kitchen and a downstairs bathroom. So it makes a lot more sense to do it this way. And at first I felt kind of embarrassed, ashamed, but I've had multiple people around my house now, and it just makes sense, and other people understand it too, which is a relief. But I still try and make it look nice in here, nice and funky, my style. And I have this like dopamine decor / checkered patterns that I really like. So still got like neon lights, and I like having leaves and stuff everywhere. Still has my mushrooms and stuff. And then we have some funky little photos up there, up here, and then another one there. You'll have to excuse this because I got a delivery yesterday, so there is lots of flexitainers there. But this is my med cupboard. It is usually a lot tidier. I haven't sorted it out this weekend, and it's not that important right now, but that's all of my meds and little peas diabetic stuff. And I think the only other thing that's changed since we last spoke was my feed. I have a completely different feed, so I will show you that. So if you follow me on TikTok, you might already know this, but I'm now on Elemental 028, which is a fully broken down feed, fully digested, and it gets made up into these with sterile water, and I have between 4 and 6 of these a day. Now that sounds like a lot because they have to be diluted in 250 ml of water each. And it's quite an annoying process to get it all sorted because basically it needs to be filtered through a sieve and shaken really well, else the pump just doesn't like it. But this feed has potentially saved my life. Now don't get me wrong, there's days where I don't have it because maybe I feel like I've managed to eat a little bit more than usual. Some days I just feel like, F this. I want a day of not having CF today, so sometimes I don't. Otherwise, the only reason I don't have that is those reasons, whereas before I was not having my feed because it was so painful, so uncomfortable, making me sick, bloated. I can finish this feed, if I do all of my intake a day, I can finish it in a day, easy, because I can run this at the highest speed I'm allowed to run it at through my pump, whereas before I was running it at pitiful speeds, like 10 to 20 mils an hour, and it was still causing discomfort. I can get this done in a day, and it's such relief. I don't even know it's going through. I don't get any discomfort from it. I don't get any sickness from it. It has completely changed the game, and I don't know why I wasn't offered it sooner. Like, it's existed. And there's another one that I used to have called Emsogen when I was a younger CF, which is the same, it's fully broken down. So why they didn't give me Emsogen or this, knowing fully broken down is more likely to work, I don't understand it. I really don't. It's a question I've not really asked, and I doubt there's even an answer to it. But yep, even though it's a pain to make up, powder form, has to be sterile, it's a lifesaver, and I'm very much grateful that it exists and that I can just have my feed now, which also means having a break from it isn't so bad because I know I can catch up, and I know I'm not going to be in pain and being sick. I know that it's not going to be a battle trying to make it work. So if I do skip a day, I just catch up and I make up for it. So Elemental, absolute lifesaver. And let's get on to the question of my health. Probably a bit of an elephant in the room since I haven't addressed it yet, and that's kind of what this channel's about. I'm trying to move around so I'm not just sat in the same place all the time, so I can make this video a little bit more not so boring, even though it's a really boring chatty video. So let's talk about my health. Where am I since we last spoke 4 months ago? Without being negative, things have not been great. I would definitely say we're further into the decline, whereas at times I could say that we have plateaued and we're just going along a kind of straight path, not going down but not going up. I would definitely say there has been some peaks and troughs. There have been some dips, then there have been some levelling out on that new decline, if that makes sense. So 4 months ago, probably here, we've gone down, and now we're sort of doing that again. I am on several new medications. A lot more pain relief than I was on. I don't know what I had discussed last time pain relief wise, but now I am on more than I was before, and we're sort of getting ready to discuss the next step in pain relief, because at some point the pain relief I'm on will not be as effective and we'll have to move on to the next one. I've had peaks and troughs, like lows and highs in my lung function, so I've been up to 40% on a good day, but then the next day literally I can be in the low 30s. So my lung functions are really sporadic. I think I've had 2 admissions, since my last video, both lasting 2 or 3 weeks at a time. My last admission, I went in with 37% lung function and I think I came out with 32% lung function. So that admission actually seemed to be worse. And the one before that was also worse. I'd felt like I'd wasted a lot of time in hospital because I wasn't getting better, and I thought, well, I might as well just go home and deal with this at home because it's not improving here. I'm not allowed home IVs, which is really frustrating. It's to do with the CF Trust and my hospital. Under my old CF nurse, he allowed too many home IVs from what I have been told. So now we have to pull back on the quota of home IVs, and I'm like, oh, so now I have to fall victim to that, which is really frustrating. But at the same time, they have said, but we've also seen that the home IVs are not as effective with you. It is better to be in hospital resting, doing as you're told, etc., etc. But my argument will always be, okay, but at least the antibiotics are in my body. At least I'm not going to get sepsis. At least the infection isn't going to get worse. We're just mowing the grass, even if it is at home and I'm still doing too much. But unfortunately, it's an argument they will not listen to. I do a lot less now, which is annoying. As you've seen over my 68 videos on YouTube, I think it's something like that. I've been on all sorts of adventures and I've brought you along with me. That is why I haven't been making YouTube videos, because I thought the day in the life and the week in the life is going to be the same shit every day. I'm going to be getting up, sorting P out for school, doing my medications, doing my feed, watching some YouTube, doing some housework, doing some meds, doing some more feed. Like it was going to be such monotonous content. And unless people say, do you know what, Jet, that's actually what we want, please do that, I'm not going to do that. Because it does take a lot of time for me to sit and edit, and although that's a good distraction, yeah, I just don't want to put content out there that you guys are going to be absolutely bored stiff of. I still like to plan adventures and I still like to plan things to do to keep my mind distracted and give myself something to look forward to. However, officially planning things is something I can't really do. But I do say in my head, I want to do this and I want to go there at some point. So I do still have bucket list things to do in my head, and I'll always keep that motivation. As far as discussing with my team where I actually am officially, we're already nearly 2 years into that discussion that I had where I had 2 years to live, the trajectory of that situation. I have definitely pulled that back, and I've definitely helped myself in that, from screaming and shouting and getting second opinions and trying different feeds, even something as small as that. Whereas at some points they would just say, do you want to just withdraw it all now? Palliative care, let's go. I have had to get palliative care involved in my own way now, because they keep seeing palliative care as, well, you've withdrawn treatment and you want to go then. That's not what it is. And so many of you watching probably know that too. But weirdly enough, my team don't seem to understand that. So every time I talk about palliative care, they're like, are you ready to stop then? And I'm like, no, I just need comfort whilst I'm dying, because that's what's happening. And I just want to be comfortable whilst that happens. But no, I'm not withdrawing treatment. Yes, I still want IV antibiotics. Yes, I still need a central line. Having that conversation has been frustrating, but I do now have a palliative care nurse who is aware of me, and she works in the hospital, and she is through the pain clinic that I have now got her on board. So thanks to the pain clinic for making that possible. Another thing I have not discussed is I actually don't have a port in this arm anymore. So I had surgery. I didn't really document any of it because I was extremely stressed out. And 1 minute it was happening, 1 minute it wasn't. So that was a massive hoo-ha. I have been pushing for about 5 months to get this port out because it was such a pain in the arse. It wasn't bleeding back. The Baxter pumps were occluding all the time. The nurses were struggling to flush it. It's difficult to access and it burns all the time. So it took me so long to get people on board to change it, but finally, well, I say finally, even on the day they almost said no. I now have a brand new port in my chest. No, I'm not happy about it. I haven't had a chest port since I was 6 years old, and it's huge. It's very invasive and I don't like it, but that is my only option. This is my last vein for a port, and after that we don't know where we're going to go. So I need this to outlive me. I need this to last another year or so, depending on whether we get like lung transplant discussions or not, which even so, they will have to come out then anyway. It wasn't a pleasant procedure, but the most unpleasant part, because I had to be awake because I advocated for no GA even though they wanted GA. I was like, no, we're not doing GA. So they said, well, we'll try it under local. 10 attempts to get a cannula in, which is why I needed a port. And I was literally crying to them in there whilst they're trying to get a cannula in, saying they had the ultrasound out from the very beginning. And my gosh, they dug and they dug. I'll put some pictures of the bruises around here somewhere. I'll be putting pictures of the port process, of how it looked before and after, etc. as well. But my gosh, they had to dig and dig. I think we had like a few bruises here. My hands, they tried. Middle of my arm here, they tried my feet 3 times. And I begged them to not have to use my feet, but they did. And it wasn't really, they didn't even warn me, if I'm honest with you. They were just like, go. So I had someone trying here, then I had someone trying my feet. It was horrendous. That was the worst part of it. And then I had a nerve block in my arm to get this one out. So they put this fluid in my arm, which blocked the nerves in my arm. They said it would only be a small portion, but I couldn't feel my whole arm. So they blocked a bit too much, but interesting to say the least. I definitely couldn't feel anything. I mean, when they made this cut, he hadn't put enough local in it, and I did feel that, and I was like, ow, I can feel that. He's like, oh, okay, more local, please. But it's there, it's done, and it's going to be a lot easier to access. So you just got to be grateful for the little wins. But I think that might be all I have to talk about today. So sorry, it's just been a chatty video. I'm sorry there's probably a lot of jump cuts, but my breathing is shit and I am coughing a heck of a lot. So I will try and do some more day in the life, maybe. I don't really know. I need your guys' help to tell me what I need to do. I will try and remember to take you on hospital visits and things like that. I just keep forgetting to pick up my phone and do it because I don't like filming in public anyway. Even when I do manage to get out, even if it's in a wheelchair, do you guys want to see me going out on little shopping trips? I only go every couple of days, if that. I don't really get out much because of my anxiousness of coughing, being sick. One for the ladies, urinate myself, not very pleasant. It's a lot. It's a lot to get myself out. It's not just a simple trip anymore. So yeah, tell me what you want to see and I will try and provide it. Thank you for watching this far. I know it's probably been a 20-minute video of just me chatting boring shit, but I am alive. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for watching and thanks for subscribing if you are new here, and I appreciate all of you. Bye.
Everything's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay.